Now here we are on a lovely summer's evening over at what we used to call in Cheek Point the bank wall, or the embankment is what it's often referred to. And behind that then of course was the marsh at Kilmarnock. And that bank wall or embankment was built up to keep it, to retain it and to drain the land and make it useful for farming. Anyway, I didn't know much about farming, but we did know a lot about the fishing here. And one of the place names associated with the bank wall was a notorious fowl. So that's the corner, or the start of the Campoil Pill there, the corner of the bank wall. And when we'd be drifting, the nets would be out maybe, 40, 50, 60 fathom, a net would be out. And you'd be drifting up with the remainder of the nets in the boat coming up along the bank wall on the flood tide. And as you come up here, there was one notorious fowl that you had to be careful of. And it's in there on the wall. And it's marked by a white stone. And that was the name of it. The white stone, or the white stone fowl. And when you drift the nets up along the wall there, or earlier on the flood tide, it would be mud out a certain bit, and you drift up and you keep in close because you were trying to jam fish. You didn't want to let them down inside you. But as you came up to the white stone, you were watching for it, and as you came up to it, you hauled out the nets. You hauled them out. Well, I suppose each crew had their own kind of measure of where they needed to go or what they were comfortable with. But you'd haul them out, only a certain amount, because you were losing an advantage by hauling the nets, but yet you had to avoid the white stone fowl. And then you'd take them aboard and you kind of wait for the tide. The weight of the nets and the tide would pull the boat up past the white stone. And once you were up a comfortable distance above it, you would set the nets back in to the bank wall, and then you continue to row, keeping the nets in. Or if it was later in the tide, and maybe if there wasn't too many boats around, you might set the nets up and along and leave them pull off out there in the tide. And what would happen then is the tide would haul them off up towards the power station, and up by the jetty then you'd start to haul them aboard. There was another fowl up there in close called Culletons, but it depended on how far in you were, and there was a measure for that as well. But that's a bit far away now to be talking about. Anyway, just to go back to this, there's a white stone just inside me there. It's set in the nets. You continue up with the boat, and you go up. There's a skiock up above there, and there was a concrete paling post. I don't know if there was other posts along it in the past, but I never remember them. And that was known as the paling. And you would set the nets then up and along in at the paling and drift up then into the bight and haul them. Anyway, just one of the place names on the river, the White Stone. And please God, I'm going to have a blog on the origins of the White Stone and what was actually here that caused that foul, and where it disappeared to in the next blog in August. So stay tuned for that, tidesandails.ie.